Hey guys, finally back with another video, right? Yeah, I finally found some time to record. 2 a.m., nearly 3. And I didn't pass out, so yeah, I was gonna make a video yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. But I passed out and yeah, before I got a chance to make it. So I'm here, making part 5. So, let's get back to it. Okay. We left off with them figuring out that the power cell was cracked, and Deku still being locked out of Obsidian Fury due to the strain on his mind. Now, the next morning they wake up. Well, Deku wakes up, and the only other person awake is Boy. So he walks over to Boy, sits down, and smiles a bit. He then puts out his hand in a fist bump formation, and Boy doesn't know what to do. He puts his hand down then and establishes a neural link with Boy. It's one of the powers he got from being fused with Obsidian Fury's original Kaiju. So, as he establishes the neural link, he's talking with Boy. And through some past memories that he isn't able to access, but he can give to Boy, he taught Boy how to talk. And then he disengages Neuralink. So then, he writes down another thing and says, consider this a gift. One beast to another. And then he flashes one eye red. Now, he writes down on the paper again, saying, actually no, let's say he's starting to piece together words together and he says, I go outside, you stay here. Boy says, okay, with his newly found words, and Deku then goes outside. Deku is scrounging around for whatever food they could eat, and then Taylor comes up. He walks out and then puts his hand on Deku's shoulder and says, hey, how you doing? Deku says, okay. You? Taylor says, I don't know. A lot of things have been happening recently and I don't know how to process it. It's all crazy. I'm not sure whether or not I should give up or keep going. But I know I can't stop now. Deku smiles a bit and then says, you do fine. Taylor smiles in the back and says, thanks, Deku. For someone who can't talk much, you always got the right words. Then Taylor hears cars. He then looks over a hill to see that there's some cars driving, and he runs into Haley. Hey, there's some cars out. There's some cars. They look like they're PBCD. What? What do you mean? Do you mean there's PBCD out here? No, it looks more like that they're using their old cars. I want to go scope them out. Maybe. You know we can't do that. And plus, what happens if they're hostile? We won't approach them if they're all sketchy. Okay, that's fine. Haley looks down at Boy and says, you ready for a walk? He replies, okay. Then they're all like, then Haley's like, you can talk? He then says, Deku showed me how. But he can't talk. He could, he just hasn't in a long time. Oh, how do you know this? We drifted. Oh, wait, when? Earlier this morning. Haley's a bit shocked, but says okay. So they say, okay, so you want to go check out those cars, Taylor? Yes. Can we go now? They all say okay, and they start walking. Now, when they approach the riverbed in the cars, they confirm that they're PVCDC, and so are the weapons. And then Deku sees May. And the Kaiju then whips his head around when he sees that, alright, let's say that Deku doesn't see May. So, let's say that the Kaiju being smart, realizing its eggs have been being stolen multiple times, places a special type of saliva on the eggs, that way it knows when they're being moved. Okay, so, 1 second. Okay, I forgot where I was, but yeah. So the Kaiju placed special saliva on the eggs to where it knows when it's moving. So when May touches the egg, the Kaiju's head snaps back. But at the same time this is happening, Deku's head peeks over. Now we're gonna cut to May's dialogue. Shit. It realized we touched its eggs. Run. The Kaiju's surprisingly fast for being a water-based Kaiju. It's on top of May and the rest of them in seconds. Now, while that was happening, this is what Deku was doing. Deku pops it over the corner and sees May. And he mutters out under his breath, "Huh?" Now, then he sees the Kaiju start running up to them. So Deku stands up and bolts towards the Kaiju. Now, if you didn't know, I'm going to explain a little bit more about Deku's abilities. Deku since Deku's Jaeger Titan Hero was the model of Obsidian Fury before it was cleaned out, it wasn't fully cleaned out. The Kaiju that used the Obsidian Fury was still there. And since it couldn't overpower Deku's mind, it submitted to Deku's. So Deku gained the abilities of a Category 5 Kaiju. The strength, the speed, all of it inside his body. And the durability as well. So Deku's fast as fuck. He's like superhuman speed. He's like, let's say he's fucking infinite 100%. What he can dial it down. He's infinite 100% level. So, yeah, as Deku bolts towards it, and in a matter of seconds, Mace turned around to see the giant Kaiju about to snap its jaws down on her. But then Mace sees a boy, holding the jaws of the Kaiju open with his bare hands. Seeing this, she then gets out, open fire, and the rest of the men take down the Kaiju. Deku's smart, because he's always been smart. So he acts really fatigued. Haley and Taylor then start guarding Deku and saying, "Leave him alone." May walks up to them and says, "Who are you and why are you here?" "We're just passing by. We saw your cars and if we figured we'd see if you were friendly or not." May then says, "That could get you killed in the black," and holsters her gun. "How'd you get here?" Haley then steps up and says, "We walked." "Oh, from where?" "The mountains." "Okay then. You can come back with us if you want. We can get food. We can get some food for the boy." Taylor says okay, as Deku stands up sweating. May then looks at Deku specifically and says, "And you? I guess you're one of those people with a quirk, aren't you?" "Thanks." They then get in the car and they go to Bogan. One second. So yeah, they get to Bogan and May walks off and leaving the not pissed off captain of the riders, because none of his friends died, with Haley, Taylor, Boy, and Deku. He gets Boy some clothes, and they stand in the truck eating some army food. And meanwhile, May is currently with Shane, telling them that they didn't get here by walking because Boy didn't have shoes, and also saying that one of the kids has a quirk, a superhuman quirk. Shane smiles at that and says, "Well then, I guess we're gonna have to get ourselves a new weapon." Now, okay. So now, about 15 minutes later, they finish eating their food, and it's time for the trading deal. So, beforehand, Shane asked what if he could ask for a favor, to ask Deku a favor one-on-one. He also said that this was on the condition that they ate his food, and I'll emphasize on that. He asked if he could make the deal that's going down later today more compelling for the other side. Now, not bribery per se, but more of a kind gesture, as aka threat. He wants him to crush a kaiju skull in his hand, or kaiju bone. And kaiju bone is extremely durable. He gives him a kaiju bone, and Deku agrees, considering that they came and ate his food. So now back to the deal. The white limousine pulls up, and Deku is sitting there. Deku is in the background. Now, Shane is at the deal, and before they go in to see the two eggs, Shane says, "Can you try to break this real quick?" As he hands the human-sized bone to the black man. If you watch the anime, you know what I'm talking about. And he tries to snap it on his leg, and it doesn't budge. And then he says, "This is a kaiju bone." Shane says, "Yeah, it is. You know these are nearly unbreakable to anything, but unless you have a Jaeger." He then says, yeah, I know. I want to show you something. He then whistles and Deku walks out. He then hands Deku the Kaiju bone. And Deku snaps it in half. He then says, boy, I want you to throw that. And he points to a car engine. Deku walks over to the car engine and fucking grabs it with one hand and yeets it. Like a fucking Hulk style. The guy's like, who the fuck is this? Shane's like, this is our muscle. I just wanted to show him to you before we started the deal. Deku then walks away. Actually, no, then Deku stays by Shane's side for the remainder of the deal. And then, oh yeah, also. No, let's just go with that. So, yeah. They walk in. They do the deal. And motherfuckers don't get frisky because superhuman strength. And they just leave. And they give the 2 power cells. Shane thanks him. It says that it says that he's useful. And then May walks up. After Shane walks away. Yes, so what's it like being a quirk user? Honestly, it's scary at times. What do you mean scary? Well, do you know how sometimes people can put so much pressure on you that you feel like you're going to explode? That. And I wanna... Never mind. What is it? May says. Deku then backs away a bit. It says, can I tell you something? She says, I'm not the kind of person for that, but if you really need to. Deku then says, you look a bit like my mom. Actually, the resemblance is uncanny. I mean, I know it's weird. Deku then says, no, that May says then, I do? I have a pretty unique face. I didn't think many people would look like me. No, she's dead. May then says, I'm sorry. Well, we'll be moving camp soon. Do you have anything at your original camp you need to collect? Maybe a vehicle? Deku then replies with, no, not really. Maybe 1 or 2 things, but nothing too important. Then there's a rumbling. The ground is shaking. Now, what's currently happening is there's a biomech attacking. It's about 5 minutes away from the camp. And this biomech is... I'm thinking... Crimson Doomsday. I gotta find a picture for Crimson Doomsday. This is the biomech. I don't know its name, but let's call it... yeah, I don't know its real name, but... yeah, this is the biomech. And... now, let's say... no, that's... yeah, I feel like I use that word a lot. with that phrase. Now, when the rumbling starts happening, May runs out. And as this is happening, Shane's telling everybody to pack up and that one of the biomechs is coming. When Deku hears biomech, he thinks, crap. And he starts bolting it with his super speed. And he then says in his head, Ruby, I need you to bring my mech here. I don't care if it's too much strain on my mind. I'll meet you halfway. Now, as he's bolting it, he gets there in about a minute. And meeting the mech halfway. He gets in his Obsidian Fury, and he runs back to Bogan. Just in time before the biomech is about to punch the Bogan camp. Deku catches its fist. And in the cockpit, they're talking, saying, I am Biomech Titan Hero, also known as Obsidian Fury, and I will end you. The Biomech replies with, so you are the new candidate. You will not take the crown. Now, as this is happening, the biomech that Deku is fighting deploys armaments. Now, these armaments are a arm blade that is made of pure metal, no plasma, and also a whip. Yeah, let's say a whip. Okay, so as it starts to fight Deku deploys his arm blade. Only one. Now, Shane is sitting here like, crap, 2 biomechs. And May's ogling this thing like, so much power. It's amazing. So, as Deku's fighting fucking this beast of a biomech, it starts the whip. And Deku catches it with his non-blade hand and then he uses his other hand to cut the whip. Okay, so Yeah, he cuts his other no, not the whip, he cuts the actual hand off the mech. And as the mech screams because the nerves are connected to biomechs much more than they are to actual Jaeger pilots. As the mech screams, Deku grabs the biomech's leg and starts fucking spinning it around. And you think he would let go midair and launch it, but no. He starts to slow down. And then as the biomech's on the floor, he puts his foot on its chest and then closes his fist, points his arm down at its skull, and activates his arm's blade, cutting its head off. After this, Deku then says, Ruby, activate Protocol 24. Protocol 24 is Purge. The Purge thing is when it purges the system's biomech of all of the previous Kaiju's actual essence, to where it won't be infected if a pilot uses the parts. This. So, after Deku's defeated the biomech, he gets on one knee, places the hand down, and says, Ruby, disengage Neuralink. Now, once the Neuralink is disengaged, he gets out a Titan Hero, stands on its head, and says, with a very loud voice, I am Titan Hero. I will fight for the right cause. And if you dare come against me or those I care for, I will end you in a blink of an eye. After saying this, he slides down the arm and walks directly up to Shane and says, and I am willing to fight for Bogan, under the condition you do not hurt her or them. He points at Boy, Taylor, and Haley, and then, to make Shane's surprise, May. Do we have a deal? He says. You've seen my skills. You know my strength. I'm invaluable. Not only that, but I got you parts of a biomech. And I'm a PPCD cadet. I know how to build, repair, all of the above. Shane smiles and says, I think we've got a deal. After saying this, Deku replies with, okay then. As he then says, hand me a gun. Shane then smiles a bit and hands Deku a gun. Point at one person in this place you think you want me to kill. Shane looks at him a bit confused and says, fine. He then points to a random rider, and the rider backs up a bit. Deku, with dead-shot blood eyes, not red eyes, just dead-shot, don't give a fuck, points the gun and fires. And then he hands back the gun, the man dead on the floor, and then says, I'm willing to do dirty work. But don't think lower of me. I will kill. I may not kill for pleasure or for excitement, but I will kill. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go have a conversation with some people. Walks over to Haley and Taylor and Boy and says, okay, I know that was weird. I know you're shocked I murdered somebody. But hear me out. I just secured us an entire army's worth of weapons. They're a bit pissed. And then they says, okay, fine. And then Deku says, thank you for understanding. And then he walks up to May. And then he says, hey, you're probably wondering why I care about you. It's mainly because you look like my mom, but I'm not gonna let anyone hurt you. For her. May looks at him and says, I don't need your pity or your protection. Deku replies with, I know. But still, no one's gonna hurt you with that or me on your side. Consider us consider us aligned to you and not Shane. Because if he hurts you or my friends, he just ends the sentence there and says, I'm going to protect you, May, people you care about, and my friends. Because I want to be a hero that protects everyone. And to do that, you may have to end a few people. He then walks away and goes to sleep in Titan Hero's head. Okay, so we're gonna end it there. Good doing the story with you guys. I had fun. Like, subscribe, comment. See you demons. Duel is out.